this is Pedro Fernandez, and welcome to this tutorial from archi9.com. And as you can see today, I'm bringing to you a scene that we've actually worked on in the past, and I wanted to show you exactly how to insert people into an architectural scene. People play an important role in architecture, and especially in these architectural visualizations. They give scale, they give composition, and they kind of embrace a whole kind of feeling and emotion to the scene. And as you can see at the moment on screen, I've brought out one of the latest ones we did work on, and I wanted to show you just how important it is if we just remove all these people and give you the raw feeling of this image. And as you can see, I mean, it's there, but it's not much, and there's not much going on. So what I wanted to show you is exactly how I looked at it and how I wanted to compose it. And you can see this within various artists and the way they use people. And one of the ones that actually sprung up to mind was Velázquez and Las Meninas. And what happens is, if you look at this, the people in this are telling a story. We've got lots going on. We've got the light coming in on the right, just lighting up the faces. We've got heaps of little stories that just go around. We've got a little girl playing with a dog. We've got the guy at the back. We've got these two within the picture. And he's used people as his main composition in this. All the rest is kind of, well, I wouldn't say accessory, but the importance is gathered within the people and the people used. And that's a bit of what we're trying to create here. And if you have a look at the moment at our picture without any people whatsoever, you can see that there's not much going on. And one of the main things I really wanted to create was actually to bring out a composition where we have our eye kind of just perspective at itself, if you can say that, and just kind of build up some points where we have our eye stopping, generally in the rules of thirds, and also bring some composition and depth to the space. And this is kind of already bringing out what happened, and I was doing this without really noticing. Over time, you just gain, the more you look at things, the more you start to analyze things, the more you look at photography, the world itself, you start to see patterns and ways of composing things, and you really start to see this in your own work. And you'll see, if today you're not the best, just keep at it, and I'm sure you'll get there. But also, it's important to know that techniques are just a part of it, and not really the end result. So it's just important to keep practicing, not give up, and just keep going for it. So okay, so let's insert our people. And at the moment, I'm just going to show you one of them, and just the basic process of how you can go through this. So I found a person online, just a student. I thought this would work really well if we just brought it here. And it just would pop out and look really well and give a kind of just compositionally look really good, and just break it up a little bit and have our eye just follow through the space, just as our previous drawing. So I'll take that off and I'll show you exactly how we can cut out these people, which I've just pasted in from an online website. So generally I'll just hit the P tool and I'll just come around and kind of just bezier around it. I'm not going to go too much into detail because there are a lot of great tutorials, and you can just search for them very quickly. But this is basically the main kind of processes. We're going penning around, you can brush around, and then what we'll do is create a mask. Masks are really important because what they do is they let us work in a non-destructive way. And a non-destructive way means basically that we have all our information there, and if we want to change in the future, we can change. So I've done this quite roughly just to show you. So we have our P tool. I can just right click and let's make selection. And that doesn't actually pop up on screen, but here we go. And I've made the selection, and I'll just delete that and just create a mask down here. So we have our mask. Now, if I just hit the B tool for brush, and as you can see, I'm not the best at actually using shortcuts, but there are a couple that I do use, and B is one of them. So I bring up my brush and I just start to paint around. And I'm doing this really roughly. I mean, I'm just doing this to show you. So I'm painting around, and if I still want to get a little more out, I just flip around the colors to white. You can use X for that, and I'm just bringing in more info. So basically I've already prepared a cutout, of which I've already scaled. So we have our cutout, and as you can see, it's kind of sticking out, and it's the main focal point, if you look at it at the moment, how it is. So what we need to do is actually correct, firstly, its values, and then color grade it, and then add the minor details that just make it look really good. So basically, let's look at values. So I'm going to create here a black and white filter. So let's just go to black and white, and that will just change the whole image to black and white. And let me unplug these ones, which I already have done, and put a levels, create a levels layer, and just attach that levels layer, and bring out the white point. So there you go. I'm lifting the white point already. That's already making much more sense. And generally what happens is, in atmospheric perspective, we have what's closer to us with deeper blacks, higher contrast. So as you can see, contrast between white and black is quite heavy, and the blacks are getting much blacker as they are closer to us. As they drift off into the distance, I mean, just looking at these guys, you can see that the blacks now have some tonality to them, they have some shape, and we've just lifted up that black point a little bit more towards the whites. So I'm going to continue on correcting it, and I think that's pretty much there. Can even do that. Yeah, that looks good. So now our values are right, but what else do we need? We need our colors, and I'm quite sure that this is a bit too red. So what I will do is basically just use a color balance. And I used a hue saturation there, but I think color balance could have actually been better, because color balance, I'm taking out a bit of the reddiness, and we had a bit too much red, and I think that's already looking really good. So what we need now is actually the little shadows behind it. And the shadows below it, the shadows below, we have a contact shadow, as you can see in this photo. We have contact shadows, and we have just this ambient diffuse shadow that comes out from the soft light. So where it contacts, it kind of just grounds it. So firstly, we're going to do the main diffuse shadow, and I'm just going to Control T to transform. I've just copied down, so you can just hit Alt and shift it below. And I'm just going to distort this and just kind of get it to where everything is, and just following the sun. And that's kind of more or less there. And what I do is I can just Control U, so I bring up the hue saturation menu, and I'm just desaturating the whole thing and just making it black, and I can just push it down, and there we go. I'm kind of using these on the right as a measurement, so these are looking really good. So another thing we need are the contact shadows. So the contact shadows are basically just painting what's right around the tires and where everything touches to make it grounded and just look like it's sitting on a ground. So I'm just going to go paint into that, and there we go. And I think, yeah, that's looking much better. Now there are another little thing that I mean, you can just go on forever, but with time, it's important that you move forward, and you can't get stuck up in people just as much as they are important to a scene. So another little thing that's important is actually rim light. So let's create a new layer down there, and just call this rim light. Let's just hit it. I'm sorry if you're hearing all my keystrokes, but this is actually a microphone from my webcam, and a new one should be coming any day now. So let's paint our rim light and just put that to soft light in our blending mode. And what this will do is just create this outline shadow that looks quite amazing. There we go. That's already coming to life. Look at that. Just how much life has this motorbike guy just came from. So just keep painting. And again, we have just this off light that's bouncing from the back, so that's our bounce light. you can look into these things. I mean, there are so many tutorials online, but the best thing to do is actually just look at photos and just understand it. And once you start practicing and you start painting, you don't really need to hear about explanations. I'm sure many artists, after a while, after painting, they just start to see how things follow. And I guess that's with experience. Don't try and overdo it on this one, so don't go too much into the whites. It starts to look very plasticky, and I can even like just invert and just paint out some blacks that I find working better. So generally where everything touches the ground, it gets a little more darker, the shadow. And there we go. And he's inserted, he's looking fantastic. I think it's so simple, there's nothing much to it. It's just a case of taking your time and following 3 simple steps, which is just take care with your levels, just color balance it, and just add your rim lights and bounce lights. And that's as simple as that. And of course your shadow. So there's actually not much to it. I hope you've enjoyed this first tutorial. And thank you for all your emails and support, and for everyone asking for this tutorial. If you do have any requests, I would say just mention them below, and let's see what we can do as time progresses, and hopefully we can get a few more tips online and start demystifying the whole architectural visualization process. Thank you to all, and see you next time.